Hello. I'm here today with two representatives from Nauset Neighbors, which is a wonderful organization which helps people out. And first of all, I'd like to introduce Judy Gordan, who is the president of the organization, and Hemmings, who is also a volunteer. They are both volunteers, I understand. It is an all-volunteer organization?
It is an all-volunteer organization.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And I know, Dot, you wanted to talk a little bit about how you found Nauset Neighbors.
Yes.
What was your experience?
Yes, this is how I discovered it. I have a dear friend, Vivian Oswell, who lost her driver's license. She was going to fight it, but she decided to accept it. And we have another friend, Craig Garling, who's a volunteer with Nauset Neighbors, who told us about Nauset Neighbors. So Vivian and I got on the website and figured out how to sign her up. Much to our chagrin, membership was closed at that time because there were not enough volunteers. So I said, well, my husband David and I said, we better find out how to be volunteers. So that's when we met Judy, and we had a wonderful orientation with a group of people at her house. And that's when I learned about, there's really two kinds of assignments. One, of course, is to be a volunteer. You know, I'm going to stop and turn this over to Judy at this point.
I was going to say, perhaps, Judy, you could talk a little bit about how this all began.
Well, it all began with Esther and Dick Elkin in Wellfleet. Esther had gone to Nauset Newcomers, and they had all these volunteer opportunities, and she said, no, I want to start my own. And she knew about the village concept, which is what we are part of, because Beacon Hill started a village in 2001 to help seniors age in place, essentially. So in 2009, she got a group of people together. I was not involved. And they worked for 2 years and launched in 2011 with about 40 members and 80 volunteers. Members are the people to whom we provide services, or for whom we provide services.
Recipients of service.
Yes, and at that point, they were charging, I believe, $175 a year for an individual and $195 a year for a household. So now we're over 8 years old, because they launched in February of 2011.
Yeah.
We have 430 members. We have about 305 volunteers. Our waiting list is again closed. And we charge $75 a year.
Oh,
for an individual, and $95 for a member. So,
and if I could just interrupt,
makes it a bit more accessible.
Well,
and if people are unable to fulfill that requirement, there are extenuating circumstances.
There's never a question.
You have financial aid.
If someone can't afford it, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Their fee is waived.
Great. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about the services, the specific services that you do provide for that.
Their fee, or their waived fee, or whatever, their membership, I should say,
yes,
entitles them to 3 services a week. And those services that our volunteers provide, and this is why our volunteers are so important, include transportation on Cape, anywhere on the Cape. We do a lot for medical appointments. We do a lot for hair appointments, grocery shopping, errands, go to the library. So there's a lot, primarily transportation. We also have friendly visits and some respite. For example, I visit a woman in Chatham every week. I read the Chronicle to her. She's 102, lives by herself in her own home. We do a lot of handy person tasks.
Handy person.
Handy person, not handyman anymore.
Yes, of course.
So that's it's a gamut. Right now, although I suppose it's dwindling now, but it's been removing air conditioners from windows. Moving deck furniture inside.
I
In
wondered
the
if you
spring,
might
it'll be the opposite.
Might be referring to leaves.
We don't. We
don't
do
do
a little bit
leaf raking?
of yard work, but we don't do a whole cleanup in a yard.
Okay. Okay.
But there definitely are. We have volunteers who just love to go, you know, help with cleaning out beds and that kind of thing. We do in-home support, where that could be grocery shopping for someone who's homebound, who doesn't go out. It could also be, you know, switching summer clothes and winter clothes. Moving some boxes,
helping out with an
that
in-house
kind
task.
of things.
Yeah.
Yes, and we have technology help, which can be, you know, I don't know how to get my photos to CVS. You know, that's one of the recent ones. Another one, somebody wanted to was a very funny one. She called. She wanted to renew her license or registration, don't know which, online. And, but she didn't have a computer, so someone would have to bring one of those things that they can put on the counter and do.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There'll probably be a phone.
Right.
But it all worked out. But just to give you an idea, last week we provided 87 services.
How many members did you say you have now?
430.
I thought you said 430. That's a
And
lot of people.
In addition to Harwich, we also serve Chatham,
Okay.
Brewster, Wellfleet, Truro.
No, not Truro.
Not Truro. I left out
Eastham
I left out Orleans.
and Orleans.
Orleans.
And
yes.
Orleans.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's not just
Okay.
you guys out there. There are some
Yeah.
other villages.
There are,
That's
yeah, there
why
are
it's-
6 towns, and
Yes.
you know, we need volunteers from Harwich and Chatham.
Yeah.
That's what we really
I see, okay.
really need. We also
Because
have.
it was originally started in Orleans?
It was originally 4 towns: Wellfleet, Eastham, Orleans, and Brewster.
I see,
And
okay.
at some point along the line, Chatham and Harwich were going to start their own village, and the people who were in charge at that time said, "Don't reinvent the wheel, just get us volunteers." But we're still struggling with volunteers
Yes.
from Chatham and Harwich,
Yes.
and that's really where our biggest need is right now.
But it is really about getting the word out. And it sounds
the computer, and it's all laid out beautifully, what is available, the dates, the times, how long it would take you, what you would be doing, where you would be going to. And it's very, very easy to sign up.
so people sign up on the computer
Yeah.
specifically, but is there a general sign up ahead of time so you have their name on a list of being a Nauset Neighbor volunteer?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And then you set them up with
Yes.
this process?
They go through an orientation process, which I did
Yes,
when I first.
okay.
Yeah, and my husband is now doing the volunteer orientation. And our volunteers come to us through the website. You can go to www.nausetneighbors.org, and
Okay.
right there you can sign up online.
And is that
then-
also where prospective members would go, although you say you are
Yes.
closed right now
Yes.
for members?
But it's a lovely website. It's
Yes.
worth looking
It
at.
would
Yes,
be
we're-
great to look at, yes.
And
And the volunteers go through a query report, too.
Yeah,
They're
they're-
fully vetted.
Fully vetted, and so they come to us that way, either a phone call or online. We get volunteers at Nauset Newcomers. You know, we've got
Yes.
an ad running at the Orpheum. Yeah, so we're
Yes.
doing our best to get volunteers, and as soon as they've expressed interest, they receive an email
I see.
welcoming
Okay.
them, sending an application, telling them when the next orientation is. The orientation is once a month. It takes about an hour and a half,
Right.
and then they're pretty much good to go because they learn how to sign up online, which is not anything
Yes.
complicated.
And it doesn't have to be a long-term, if a volunteer does one service request a week.
Or
You know,
one
what-
service request a month. I
Yes,
mean, we
what-
have volunteers who do 4 a week,
Yeah.
but we also have volunteers who do 1 or 2 a month. We have volunteers who are gone for the whole winter. We have some who are gone for the summer. I don't understand leaving the Cape in the summer, but who are gone for the summer.
Right.
And we just mark them unavailable during that time. We don't call. We only call volunteers if we have unfilled medical appointments 3 days out.
And how do you confirm with the recipients of the services?
Well, that's the other opportunity there is to volunteers, to be a call manager, which is what I am.
you do.
Right,
Yes.
we take shifts, 9 to 12 or 1 to 4, 5 days a week, and there are several of us doing it now. So it's manning the telephone. The Nauset Neighbors number rings in your own phone, and you accept the calls which are members making requests.
Oh.
But then you also call the members when a volunteer has been secured. And those are the most rewarding calls that there ever could be. People are just so happy that we've gotten someone that's going to take them shopping the next day, or come and change the light bulb, or whatever it might be.
How far ahead do people generally need to request?
That's a very good
service?
question. They need to request 7 days ahead. We
Okay.
ask for 7 days to
Notice.
secure the volunteer. Yeah.
And some of them do it months ahead, but which is fine too.
Right, and so you may
Just
have
gets
some
on the
standing
record.
appointments.
We have
Someone who
recurring-
knows they have to be somewhere
right.
every week or every
Yes,
month or
we
something
have
like that.
recurring
Okay.
requests.
And
I
it may
see.
not
Okay.
always be the same volunteer. It
Yeah.
could be a different volunteer. But some of those calls, I just have to say, oh, I'm so grateful to Nauset Neighbors. I wouldn't be able to stay in my house if it wasn't for Nauset
At
Neighbors.
least once a shift we hear that.
Yes, very
And our-
rewarding.
Sounds like there's a lot of positive feedback.
There
And
certainly
there is.
is.
Our
Yeah.
volunteers really, you know, they receive more than they give. It is such a rewarding experience. Everything we do is a social visit, whether it's a ride to Stop and Shop,
Right.
or a ride to a medical appointment in Hyannis, or a
Yes.
friendly visit.
It's a really
handy
personal
person.
thing.
It's really a social visit. Some of these people might not be seeing anybody that day besides our
Yes.
volunteer. And our volunteers have learned that we just have absolutely fabulous seniors living on the, well, our volunteers are seniors too, but mostly, but absolutely wonderful seniors living on the Cape with fabulous stories
Yeah.
that they are
Oh, yeah.
so willing to tell.
It's a way to meet
so
many, many
it
interesting
is.
people,
So,
I'm sure.
so a lot of friendships are formed.
Yes, yes, I would
It
believe
really
that.
is truly the concept of neighbor. I think years ago we would think
Building
neighbor,
a neighborhood in this way, yes.
we used to
Yeah.
think neighbor, oh, well, that's the next door neighbor, you know, we'll go next door and have a cup of coffee with our neighbor. And then I think that expanded to embrace the street, the neighborhood that we live in. But now, the neighborhood now is Harwich. All of Harwich is a neighborhood, and we need to help our neighbors.
It's very
We do.
true.
It
That's
takes
a
a
good way of
village.
putting it,
Yeah,
yes.
you know,
yes.
Doesn't
Or
just
5.
take a village to to raise a child.
I think
It takes a village for all of us.
I think we should give the telephone number at this point, don't you?
Yes,
Go
sure.
and get a paper and pencil. You see if I can do
Yeah.
it by heart.
Okay.
508-24, no, you better do it.
508-514-7067, and it's nausetneighbors.org.
514-7067.
Right.
Okay, great. Well, this is so wonderful to hear about, and it sounds like you're both extremely enthused about it.
Oh,
And it sounds
we
like
are.
you're not
We
the
work-
only ones either.
Well,
It's
we
a-
have a lot of wonderful, hardworking volunteers.
Right,
It's
from
a
the
very,
volunteers
very
to the
rewarding
members.
activity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much for coming in and talking about it, and I hope we'll get lots of opportunity for people to volunteer.
We would
And-
love that.
Yep, Nauset Neighbors. Remember that and look it up. Sounds great. This is Dinah Lane for Channel 18 in Harwich. Thank you so much.